law has also social implications, and one cannot deal with the law without looking at the social consequences of a particular decision. And why should the Nazis be allowed to raise havoc on the southwest side and also on in Skokie?
Well, raise havoc implies something more than the exercise of First Amendment rights.
Well, for example, on the southwest side, they have been demonstrating against the blacks. They've been marching into the black community. They've been pasting all of the community with their signs, with the swastikas, and with signs of niggers beware, and so on and so forth. On their headquarters on 71st Street, they have a big sign which has on it, "Stop the niggers." Now, shouldn't there be limits how far one should go in defending people like that?
Well, the difficulty with trying to establish limits on one's First Amendment rights is that in trying to prevent the group we don't like from exercising those rights, from speaking freely or passing out literature or putting up unpleasant slogans or whatever, in trying to prevent that single group from exercising those rights, we will inevitably prevent other groups from doing exactly the same thing. Skokie presents, it seems to me, the perfect example of that problem. You have 3 ordinances in the village of Skokie which clearly were passed to prevent the Nazis from demonstrating in the village of Skokie. If that's all they did, then perhaps the villagers would be happy. I wouldn't, because they still would have voided First Amendment rights. But that's not all they did. Nobody in the village of Skokie can organize a march of 50 or more individuals unless they can come up with $350,000 bond. Nobody in the village of Skokie can have a political parade wearing uniforms, which means that marching bands in support of a political candidate are illegal in the village of Skokie. Not just Nazi uniforms, all uniforms. All marches are illegal in the village of Skokie unless you've got that $350,000 bond. While it would be comfortable, I think, for individuals and even for this organization to say we can make one exception here, this is the place where we ought to draw the line. If we do that, what we do is we draw the line around a much broader piece of territory than just the Nazis. Everybody loses their rights as a result of that.
Well, I'm not talking about the exceptions. Let me put my question more concretely. How far is ACLU committed in defending the Chicago Nazis?
We are committed to protecting their First Amendment rights in the same way we are committed to protecting everyone else's First Amendment rights.
Are you committed to them even if they break the law?
Of course not. To ask the question is to answer it. We are committed to the defense of no one who breaks the law.
Suppose the Nazis march into Skokie or some other place illegally. Will you drop them as their client?
Not necessarily. It would depend on the circumstances. That raises the whole question of civil disobedience and whether it is appropriate to violate a law which one believes to be unconstitutional. The entire civil rights movement, as one obvious example, was founded on that premise. That is, laws throughout the South which prevented blacks from eating at lunch counters, which prevented blacks from sharing school facilities with whites. Those laws were defied by blacks who led the civil rights movement. They were prepared, however, to pay the obvious price. They were prepared to be jailed for breaking that law. Indeed, we all saw films in the 60s of Martin Luther King and others serving time in southern jails because they had broken laws which they believed to be unconstitutional. Ultimately, those laws were overturned, and it was a method of protest which was not considered to be illegitimate so long as it was understood that the price had to be paid ultimately. It's possible that the Nazis will be willing to pay the price of going to jail in order to challenge the 3 ordinances in the village of Skokie. In that case, we might very well represent them.